I am Chase Roth, and I am your host, and I am joined today with Ryan and Chayse, VBC member, financial planning extraordinaire. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well, Chase. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Excellent. I'm glad you're here today. We were supposed to have a couple more with us, and we were going to sit and just kind of rap about the VBC that we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary of our first kickoff meeting that we had at Ironclad Brewery almost 12 months ago. We're probably, it's the 4th. I think we were mid-November when we did that.
Yeah,
so we're
almost exactly.
Yeah, we're coming real close to our 1 year anniversary. But the other guys bailed on us,
They're busy fulfilling the mission, right? Economic success, one of our
pillars.
one of the 3 pillars of the Veteran Business Collective. I thought of Tim Horst, who's out there right now, very busy.
Yeah.
But great guy, great founding member, and there is a lot to celebrate, particularly with next week, right? Coming into Flying Machine Brewery next Thursday.
That'll be our first event there. I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
I've been there one time
time
before, and they have great beer.
Mm-hmm.
It's even cooler that Tim has hooked up Mission Barbecue to cater the event.
That's going to be a very good time.
Because they do not have a kitchen there.
No?
No, they don't. So this works out perfect for us. That'll be exciting. And Nick, who's also on our leadership team, Nick Smith with GOL, had a last-minute thing come up with work, a crisis that he couldn't avoid. So he wasn't able to make it today. But I don't know if you know this. He was married on Friday.
I did not know that.
Yes.
All right. So we owe him congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. I
I'll toast to
officiated
that.
his wedding.
Really?
Yes.
That's right. Okay, so you're for hire, or is that just a one-off thing?
It's a 2-off.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister got married in September, and in the summer when she was planning for her wedding, she called and said, "Hey, would you officiate for me?" And I said, thinking to myself, well, she's my sister. I can't really say no.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, I'll do it, but you got to tell me what hoops I got to jump through to be able to do that. You do the research, and I'll do it. So she sent me the link, and the hoops ended up being put your credit card information in, and they say you're an ordained minister. Like, it doesn't require anything more than that. It took a total of 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to figure
But
out how
to. It's framed over your
Oh,
mantle at the house,
it's
right?
above
Very
my
prominent.
graduate degree. It's above my last promotion.
All your Marine Corps stuff, just sweep it
my
aside.
I love me wall.
Yeah.
I moved it all down 3 feet so that could be
I do the same thing.
right up there. Yeah. So I did hers, and it came up in conversation with Nick that I was going out of town and why. And he's like, "Oh, dude, I'm getting married at the end of October. Can you do mine?" I was like, "Oh, golly, you're my friend. You're a member of the VBC. Yeah, I guess."
Yeah. $1,000, but I'll do it.
yeah. $1,000 donation to the VBC,
Right.
in which he's a generous fellow, so he'd probably actually do that, especially now that it's out in public. So
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You have an Amazon Smile account.
Yeah.
You can contribute directly through the website.
You can donate right on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess all our leadership team, they all have a lot going on, I guess, is the point right now.
That's a good thing, right?
And us 2 slackers are the only ones that have time to sit around and
Jeez,
just
I wouldn't miss an
BS.
opportunity to hang out with you.
I appreciate
You know
that,
what, this
Ryan.
is-
I do.
It is an honor to be here. I've seen, on my feed, I've seen this studio. My first time actually being here.
Is this your first time in the new studio?
It is.
Excellent.
Yeah. I remember,
Okay.
the last time we spoke we spoke on
Signal Fire's
That's right,
podcast
it
was the radio
March.
station.
I believe it was March. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And that was also a great time.
Yeah, it was. It was a good time. And that's a good space, too.
It is.
Overlooking the river and the battleship and
that's
everything.
right.
That,
Very
that was a
commanding view.
nice space, but we were using that on a as it's available kind of basis. So it's good to have a home now that it's ours. We control. We use
That's
whatever.
right. Onward and upward. Forward progress.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I kind of talked on some of the previous episodes about starting the VBC and why we do it and that sort of thing. I think it'd be cool to get your perspective individually, having been someone that was at the first meeting we ever did, and now here you are 12 months later, member of the leadership team, and you're going to be at our 1 year anniversary meeting. why are you still doing it? Why do you continue to give time to it? Why do you stay involved with it? Like, what is it that keeps you coming back?
Sure. I mean, it is awesome, right? Milestones are a way for marking progress and then looking back, seeing how far you've come, and then an opportunity to say, wow, like, we've already accomplished so much in 12 months. Where can we go in the next 12 or in the next 5 years, right? That is, why am I a part of this organization? I mean, I can't help but think how I wish this had been around when I was transitioning out myself, that there are a lot of veteran-oriented organizations that are here and likely all across the country, and they all are very niche, specialty, right? Just for if you're looking to start your own business, right? But what about the person that's like, hey, man, I'm just looking for a job, right? That's going to employ my skill set. And when this organization was founded, right, last year, it just, to me, like, I get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing folks who are still active duty saying, hey, I'm planning my retirement. I'm planning my transition out of MARSOC. And, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. And what I want to tell that person, what I want to tell, like, everybody that's transitioning, I'm like, we all have this wonderful skill set that we've developed through the military. It's not tied to your MOS. It's more that you have an accumulated wisdom through, because you think about, right, it's the military in a lot of senses painful, but a lot of, at least in my own life, a lot of wisdom comes through pain, introspection. You say, okay, what works, what doesn't work.
You get a lot of self-discovery through some of your most painful moments, right?
That's right.
It's like anytime you get ready to go to a school and they tell you before you go, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. It's not going to be a good time, right?
I remember asking at OCS, my instructor, I was like, hey, sir, I heard about, like, SEER school. Like, what is that like? I'd read Nate Fick's One Bullet Away, and it talked a little bit about it. I was like, wow, that sounds insane what they do. Their survival, evasion, resistance, escape school. And he just got real professional. He's like, it's the most professional school I've ever been to.
That's it.
Which gave me goosebumps. I'm like, okay, all right, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But you may be a young 18-year-old or 22-year-old, and you're all right, I'm fresh in. But in a lot of ways, you get the same exposure of life. It just happens to be you're in the military. And then you learn a lot about yourself. Even if you're strong in one area, I'm a PT stud, or I'm incredibly intelligent in these areas, or I have a beautiful gift of marksmanship or martial art, whatever that may be, the military is also going to show you, well, you're not very good in these other areas, and it's on you to become better at it. And I think even after a 4-year tour, over 20 years, you come out and you're like, all right, I can do this. I know where I'm strong. I know where I'm not as strong. The Veteran Business Collective captures that.
And that's one of the, if we want to be super motivated, that's one of the Marine Corps leadership principles is know yourself and seek self-improvement.
That's right.
And they do a good job of helping you know yourself.
Yeah.
Giving you the opportunity to fail in different areas or at least not do as well as the people around you.
That's right. You're getting a lot of honest feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's not always from your superiors. Usually it's from your peers.
It's your peers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, which is great. I mean, it's it just speeds everything up. And so I knew, so I've got these strengths, I have these interests, I have these weaknesses. I'm very aware of them. What do I do with it? When I was transitioning out, I wish I had the Veteran Business Collective, or a group of organizations from my peer group, my generation of vets to talk to help kind of shape, hey man, you have these things that you may not, you're kind of taking it for granted, but you can go very far by leveraging that. And just because you did this thing in the military does not mean that's what you need to necessarily do. I kind of figured it out, but it didn't have to be as painful, as it was.
Yeah. That's a great point, and we just finished recording the episode with the iFly team, and what was cool about that and how it ties into what you were just saying is one of the members just transitioned from active duty to reserves, and the other one is still on active duty, and they're already in the process of starting their business. They're not even waiting till they're out. Like
Yeah.
they're getting so far ahead of it, and they've joined the VBC. They come to our meetings. They've leveraged the different people within our group that can help start a business, from raising capital to insurance to marketing to all the different folks that are involved to do that. So to your point, it was really cool for me to hear them talk about that, because that's what we had discussed. When I say we, I mean me and you and the other guys when we first started this, was what do we want this to turn into? And that was one of the things we wanted it to turn into, as a landing pad for the next generation of folks, or the next group of folks leaving the military, to have a place they could come to and find resources, find mentors, find advice, find examples of what not to do even.
That's right.
And so it's really cool a year later for me to sit back and see it happening.
That's right.
I imagine it's got to feel similar to you.
There isn't an organization like it. So when I left in 2017, which is not that long ago, there's still, I kind of went and, all right, veteran organizations here in the city, there's got to be one that's tied to me. And I checked out the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and it's a great organization. They have a fantastic mission, but ultimately it's about other people, right? Am I going to connect with the other folks? And it's a full generation above me, and it's a hard time.
I went there too.
Yep.
Yeah, I went there too, and not to knock them, because they have been the spokesperson or organization for veterans for decades. But I went probably for a month. I went to every meeting they had every week, and then I'd go on their open nights, and there'd be like 4 people would show up.
That's right.
And they were all, not to knock the age, but they were 75. They were retired. They weren't in business. They weren't doing anything meaningful or productive, and it was just really hard, like you said, to connect with them, which is unfortunate, because they have been around for so long, and they have done a lot of good in the past, but for whatever reason, they're not. It seems like they resist change, and they resist trying to evolve to meet the needs of a new generation of veteran.
I think they had a very different experience, right? So you think of the Legion or the VFW. Generationally, the young folks are Vietnam veterans, right? And they're in that age group. And I think, that shared pain, going back to what I was saying before, you get out, and culturally, societally, it was a very different environment, right? Oh, like I was in Vietnam, or I served in the military. It had carried a very different meaning or impact to folks than it does today, right? So I think you almost invite a different mentality from that generation of veterans. And you and I, for all of the challenges that we've overcome, we have a different reception, right, out in the civilian world. And so it's harder to connect, right? We're fellow veterans, but you had a very different experience than I did. I have different challenges connecting with folks that haven't served than perhaps you have. The Veteran Business Collective, I think the reason why we've had a lot of folks almost come out of the woodwork, right? Hey, these are folks who are looking for the same things as I was. That I want to meet somebody who's from post-Gulf War, OEF, OIF, that has gone through a similar experience, and they're somewhere on that same journey. If they're ahead of me, great, I want to pick your brain. If you're further back and you're playing dudes, hey, I have some great lessons learned, and that's really valuable. It goes a long way, right? If the one thing I've learned in the military is, like, don't recreate the wheel. If somebody's already done it, don't expend your very precious energy trying to do something yourself for the first time. Right.
Makes sense. Well, aside from your involvement with the VBC, you are also a business owner. And that's happened more recently, correct?
Yes.
Where you've actually signed the deal and everything. I know for a while it was real hush-hush. We couldn't talk about it. It was in the works, but it wasn't there yet. Tell us about it, man.
I mean, the military made it happen. So almost 4 years ago to the day, I left active duty the very end of October of 17. And all I knew is my wife and I wanted to stay here in Wilmington. And we have no network here. I don't have family. I don't even have like the interests, right? The things you might stereotypically think of someone that does financial planning. I'm horrible on a golf course. I don't own a boat, nor will I. I didn't have any of those built-in advantages, so to speak. The only thing I knew is like I know what it's like to be at the bottom of the totem pole. I know it's possible to rise up through hard work, concentrated effort, and a plan. And so the past 4 years has just been a plan. Like all my mission from day one was find the best firm that I possibly can that does business right, so that I'm very confident in our mission, right? We're very mission oriented as veterans. We had Tilly has a very clear vision for the future. A multi-generational firm. It doesn't have somebody's name attached to it. I like that a lot. I said, you're the only folks I want to work for. And now 4 years later, it's becoming an owner is just the fruition of that vision of my own.
So you started at, is it Tilia Fiduciary Partners? Is that the full name? Okay, so you started there just as an employee 4 years ago.
That's right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you just worked. And eventually, how'd you change, hey guys, I'm Ryan, I'm a Marine, and I want to do financial planning for you. Mm-hmm. How did you translate that into you're a partner? You're an owner now. How'd that happen?
Yeah, I worked my butt off.
Okay. Well, I mean, lots of people work their butts off,
They do,
right?
They do.
But
I think it was, I had my own, I was like, we do, I guess that's a tough question. I don't quite know. I feel fortunate. A lot of events have kind of led up to it, but it's a skill set I've learned in the military. So, my background is like assault support, right? So we're planning a big raid or a mission. So we begin with the end in mind, right? What are we trying to accomplish? I want to be an owner because I believe in our mission, because I love living here, because I want to provide for my family. And so that's the end state. And then, well, how does that happen? Well, you have to be competent. You need to be certified. You need to actually go up and work hard at becoming better. And so you can actually walk the walk.
What does that mean to you, being an owner now as opposed to just being an employee?
I think it's just mindset. That's the only difference. I'm trying, when I settled on a job description for myself, I said, cultivate a culture of excellence. People are going to grow, innovate, learn, improve all on their own. All you have to do is ensure that we're cultivating. It's like a tree, right? You trim the areas. Hey, these are things or areas that are not worth our energy. These are things that should be rewarded or improved upon. But it comes down to just a mindset. So I'm trying to impart that mindset that I'm not smarter than the average person. I don't have any particular skill set or knowledge base that's going to make me better innately, but I work a lot harder. I care a lot more, and that's ultimately what I think. No matter what your industry is, hey, I've got a big project. I've got this thing that's very important. No-fail mission, right? Mm-hmm. I trust Chayse to do it. Because he cares as much as I do, and I want him to have that because I know he's not going to drop that ball because it's too difficult or he's too tired. He's just going to run with that ball until it's mission success, and that's what comes across to other folks. All right, that's the positive part of being a veteran, right? People do associate that. Man, we can be workhorses. Yeah,
but as a business owner, it comes with a whole nother level of stress, which and responsibility, which can translate to stress at times, right? Because now instead of just worrying about your own book of business and worrying about Ryan and how to provide for your family, now you've got to worry about everybody that works for the firm and how they're going to provide for their families, because that's on you at the end of the day to make all that happen. Have you felt any of that that change since you've become an owner as opposed to being just worried about Ryan?
Huge change. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, it's, and I know a lot of folks that are attending our meetings can relate, but it's the burden of, okay, it's not just the immediate team of folks, it's their family members, it's their children that are relying on the business to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this enormous, the burden of responsibility, I guess. But it's also this wonderful glory to be like, okay, like this is something I embrace, and it's challenging, and I'm still going from all right, my mission is very distinct and all right, very specific to, we have to worry about our cybersecurity, and do we have a human resources policy, and what is compliance going to say? What is
Gosh, the infamous human resources policy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those things that you're
all
like,
the little things that in the Marine Corps you just took for granted.
That's right. It's like getting ready for a CGRI, a commanding general readiness inspection. That's sort of what, if somebody looks at how we're doing business, is it being done properly? Are we taking care of our folks?
You're in a pretty regulated industry, though, right?
Incredibly.
So that's probably more so than what most people deal with, I would think.
I guess it depends by industry. An attorney would say the same thing. I think about the whole medical industry with HIPAA requirements. Ultimately, when all those regulations, they're just saying, it's ultimately saying, don't be a crook, don't be incompetent, do your job, and do it to the best of your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remind myself of that when I look at the compliance manual, and it's frightening. But I'm like, they're ultimately saying,
you boil it down to its essence.
Yeah.
It's just
it's
be
like
a good person.
Be a good person. It's like, the best COs that you or I have ever had. It's ultimately just do your job, right? Or my buddy has this fantastic. It's a picture of Bill Belichick, and it just says "Do your job." I'm not even a Belichick fan, but it's a picture of him, and that's a whole Patriots culture.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best COs I had, that's all he would say: "Do your job," and that's what I think is being conveyed by these regulatory industries. Like, act in their best interest, know what you're talking about, admit when you don't know what you're talking about, and do your job.
Yeah, that makes sense. What else are you going to talk about? I want to talk about these shirts.
Those are sweet shirts,
So,
dude.
I didn't know we were ever going to have shirts. I don't think you did either.
I didn't. I have my shirt. It's like it's like my favorite gym shirt, but I'll get it cleaned up. So tomorrow I'm going to, we're beyond like t-shirt weather. But it is this perfect thing to like. I wear it proudly at like O2.
Well, your day job doesn't really allow for it.
Yeah, I mean,
wear a t-shirt to work.
But it's a great way of marketing, and
I mean, I'm always wearing a branded shirt for if I'm not wearing this, I'm wearing, as my Sano shirt to meetings and everything. I'm always
a sweet black shirt.
Always wearing a branded shirt, so it's just like you said, it's free advertising everywhere you wear it. But I guess to me, it's more of it's more symbolic than anything, symbolic of progress, right? When we started, we had no idea if we were even going to have a second meeting when we all got together. Me and you, I think. No, you didn't invite me. I think somebody else. I met you at a cake cutting that I think somebody else invited me to for the Marine Corps birthday that you hosted at your office.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
And that's how we met. And I was like, hey, guys, I'm like thinking about this thing. Rob said he's going to go. You guys should come too. And it's going to be in a week. It's going to be at a brewery, so it'll be fun. And you guys took a leap of faith and jumped in and came. And I had no idea if anyone was going to show up other than myself. And fortunately, you guys all did show up, and then again showed up, and then we ordered T-shirts. Now we have T-shirts.
We have T-shirts
and stickers. Do you see these yet?
Dude, I love that.
Do you see these?
No,
Nick had these made for us.
I can't believe we have a Hydro Flask and it doesn't actually have the.
We probably should put one on there, shouldn't we? In fact, that probably shouldn't be sitting on the table.
People respond to a vision, right? Like we're all just going about our lives. And there's things that have to happen, but there's also the narrative of what is my life about? Who am I as a person? what causes did I really value by spending my time with them? And you conveyed a compelling vision when we first met, right? You said, this is something that I've got, that I've been thinking hard about, and I think we can, as veterans here, we can do a lot better, and that there's a need. And that vision cut through those beers that we had and maybe that cake we were eating, and we're like,
maybe it was the beers talking.
No, and we're like, he's right. There's a big unmet need, because we're all reflected back on our own experience. We're like, man, getting out is tough. Being a veteran business owner feels lonely, and there are a lot of challenges, but here we are together. That was pretty easy, right, to get a dozen veterans together.
It was easier than I thought it was going to be.
It was. It's I think, what was the analogy? It's like, you're drilling for oil, you're hunting. I don't know if there's an actual market demand for this, and you hit it, 6 inches under the water, or under the soil, right? You're just like, oh yeah, there's plenty of folks out there that want the same things that you already put into words. So that it's not an accident that people have come out and have continued to come out. Now there's sponsors, and we have events, and we got T-shirts, right?
T-shirts.
Those are all. That's just
the big goal is get a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's manifestation. That's that's why I think serious organizations too. We sit down and we say, we had a great year, just like military. Lessons learned. What's our plan for the upcoming 12 months?
That's what I'm excited about.
Where would you want to be in 12 more months?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, especially with the our 1 year anniversary approaching. We've had a couple folks that have branched out and started chapters in other areas, and they're making progress there. I think it'd be great to see what's being done in Wilmington happen in other cities, at least initially near military installations, large ones, right? So there should be one, I think, near Fort Bragg. Really anywhere there's a base that has a large population of troops that leave the military. I think it'd be great to have something like this. And that thought that I've had has just been reinforced through the conversations like with the iFly team and other folks who are transitioning and they're not sure what they're going to do next, or they've got an idea, they don't know how to do it, and they've found resources by hanging out with us. That's right. That's what it comes down to. We all get together and we drink beer and we hang out. We have a formal agenda that we go through that helps facilitate some of that stuff. But I think I'd really like to see this thing go to where there's the opportunities generated through what we're doing are available to more people in more places. And I say opportunities, everything from the referral business that's taken place. There's been so much of that, and then there's been new businesses started because of relationships developed. That's right. Just all kinds of positive stuff taking place, but most of it's been central to the Wilmington area next to Camp Lejeune, which is great. It's a great start, but I think that if it works here, why wouldn't it work next to Fort Bragg? Right. Why wouldn't it work next to Fort Jackson or somewhere else? And then once we get to that point, why wouldn't it work in areas that don't have a large military base, but they'll still have veterans living there. Right. But I think initially let's start in the areas where there's military bases, where a lot of people are leaving active duty, and let's focus our efforts there and see if we can't take the value that we're seeing here every month and recreate that in other places. Because what's going on here is great, and I think it'll continue, and I think it'll continue to grow in the area. Mm-hmm. But if we really want to make a big difference, I think it's our responsibility to take it other places. What do you think?
I completely agree. Again, it's just a matter of letting folks know that this exists, because one of my good friends actually from the basic school, so we went, joined the Marine Corps at the exact same time. He founded Bunker Labs. Great organization, fantastic mission.
Yeah, they're huge.
They're huge. They're all over the country. But they're not us. They're very, very, it's entrepreneurship. Or say taking a Marine and turning him into an entrepreneur, something along that line. There's great value in that, and there's a great chapter here in the city. But what we do that I think is what nobody else, no, not the Legion, not the VFW, not the Military Officers Association in America, not all of them are specialized, right? But I look at our job, if you're coming out of the active duty, right? You're leaving your base, or you're a veteran that's been out for decades, you haven't tied in with any of this stuff. If we just couldn't connect you to the resources, the opportunities that are out there, and I think we do that, right? You have that, our featured speaker, either it's a local representative or a really awesome nonprofit that ties in with our mission, that's really, we're almost the clearinghouse, right? Hey, let us be your launch pad. That, to me, is a national organization that can attract folks no matter where you are on the continuum, from active duty to I was in 30 years ago. Yeah. That you come here, well, we have a resource. We have folks that are going to be able to relate to your experience, and whether you're looking for a job or camaraderie, or you want to create your own company, that there's already somebody there that's gone through ahead of you and that can lend their expertise and their time.
Yeah, or even if you're just an existing business owner like me that just wants to be able to network and grow their business and support other veterans in growing their business too.
That's right.
So maybe this is a call to action.
Sounds like a call to action.
Sounds like we need more chapter presidents.
We do. And I think the next step is creating a playbook, right? It's almost like here is because we have a wonderful meeting format, right? Mm-hmm. Highlights the existing membership, what they do, that economic benefit, part of our mission. And then there's also that featured speaker, somebody that's able to say, hey, this is what we provide, whether it's suicide prevention or canines for service, or whatever it may be. Or hey, I'm just a rock star. I'm a veteran just like you, and I crushed it, and here's how I did it, right? We've had folks that are just, on a national scale, veteran, successful entrepreneurs, that you take that format and that value add, and that's a secret sauce. That's what we've got that nobody else has yet. Everywhere else, it's just, we're going to tell you what to do, right? And you're like, okay, you're very smart, and I don't. We're more engaging than that.
Got a surprise for you.
Oh, yeah?
Been working on that.
Lay it on me.
I know. Well, you've been. I know you've been a little busy with, transitioning from employee to owner and that sort of thing. Plus, are you retiring from the reserves as well?
I'm resigning from the reserves.
Okay, so you're leaving the reserves completely.
That's right.
Okay. So you've been super busy handling that kind of stuff, but I've been working on that playbook, and I've got it together. I've got a guide, all that stuff on how to launch a chapter, how to run it, how to select locations where you do your meetings, all that stuff. I was going to bring it and share it with everybody when we have our big planning session in December.
Excellent.
I guess I'll send it out ahead of time so you guys can get a chop at it and do some editing and that sort of thing. But I think we're headed the right direction. Aside from expanding to other cities and adding chapters, I mean, what do you see in the future for us as an organization?
Relentless focus on the value add.
I like that.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We get one shot. Somebody shows up. Man, I drove 45 minutes. I worked my tail off. I saw this thing on social media or a friend told me about it. We get one shot at convincing that person we understand. We don't know you, but we understand you. Mm-hmm. And there's somebody here that you should meet, and this is worth your time and energy to come back and be a part of this organization. And if we have that, that's it, right? That's our full focus. I don't know what that person's looking for, but we're going to deliver, whether it's camaraderie, our community, it's a job, it's an opportunity. We can deliver that, and nobody else can. And if we never lose sight of that, I see it hard to fail.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. Definitely have to always look at the value add. What could we add? tough one, huh?
It is.
Well, I think the membership platform could be used more effectively. We've got this database. Everybody has an account, but nobody seems to really use it. I don't think anybody logs in, so we could probably figure out a way to leverage that a little better to increase value for members. Continue to beat people up to use Slack more when they need things.
People.
Because they get responses, for those of you that don't know, we have a Slack channel set up. It's a private message platform if you haven't used it before. But all our members, once you become an official member and you join, you get added to Slack and you have instant communication with everybody else that's a member of the VBC, no matter where they're located. So it cuts through geographic barriers, and you don't have to have people's phone numbers or email addresses to talk to them. So you can go in there and just say, hey, I have this problem. Anybody faced this before? How would you approach it? Or I have an opportunity, but I need this to capitalize on it. Or I'm hiring, or whatever it is, right? Like you can go in there and you've got 100 plus folks who can respond and help you or direct you or guide you or whatever it is that you need. You've got 100 plus people that have been doing it for a while that are willing to help out. And I think the value in that is huge. I think people just get busy, because there's not a lot
very
of
busy.
Yeah, everybody, as we know, everybody gets busy. But I think that's something that we could be more intentional about is driving people to that and continuing to push the the communication channels outside of the meetings, maybe.
Well, a bit of a surprise, right, or good news. I was contacted by the New Bern, I think it was Sun Journal, reached out to me.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know how you found me. And there's a nice woman, Julie, on the other line, and she's like, I found you through a press release, and I'd love to talk more about the Veteran Business Collective. And we had a wonderful conversation. And at the end of it, I said, there's a D.W. Hamill up in New Bern who's leading our efforts there, leading that chapter's efforts. Here's his information. I actually looked him up on Slack. Pulled down his info.
Okay, all right.
Shot her a text, said, all right, reach out to D.W. He can tie you in more specifically with what we're doing at a tactical level, but here's our strategic mission. Here's the value add. It was a lot of things that we had a chance to talk about. Why I don't see any other organization really fulfilling or meeting that need, and we're growing. It's our first year, right? But we're growing to meet that unmet need, and so that's great that somebody out of the blue calls the office and says, "I want to learn more about what you and your peers are doing."
That is super cool, and it's also interesting that. They weren't aware that there was a chapter in New Bern, and they called from New Bern, and they weren't a Wilmington-based, firm or something. That's
so many cool areas to improve and build upon, right?
Yeah, it is. It's
wear many hats. I know you're very familiar with that.
Yeah, it's a constant battle to try to keep up with everything. I think we're getting there. So every one of these episodes that we do, we kind of talk about, the guests' business and what they do and that sort of thing, how they got there. We kind of covered the story of how you got there. I don't really consider you a guest, more of a co-host, but you haven't had that opportunity yet to kind of just talk about your business. You want to take a couple minutes and just tell us what is it that Tilia does and what makes Tilia awesome?
I think we're the only firm in this entire region, from the Outer Banks through Myrtle Beach, that provides or that does what we do, which is in-house investment management. We are fee only, which means we don't, my profile says we're zero sales commission, which is unusual, right? Most advisors that you meet, every single advisor I've ever met, awesome. Really good people. I like them a lot. But we deliberately do not sell insurance or annuities, other products that might cloud our judgment. So we're fiduciaries, we're fee only. Our team is comprised of certified financial planners, which there are a lot of designations out there. It's not the only one, but it's one of the, because it's it's an arduous process and it's marketed very well. It's becoming recognized as sort of the standard. If you're going to give advice outside of investments, you should probably be a CFP. And then beyond that, we manage our own client money. We have our own, basically our in-house fund of, the same, whether you have $50,000 or $8 million, everybody owns the same thing, myself included, about 45 different big companies. And we do it because it's transparent. We hit a recession, you're not worried about Apple or Waste Management going out of business. We do it because it's zero cost, so there's no cost to buy or sell or hold them, unlike a mutual fund. So people end up saying, I actually understand what I own. I like what I own. It's cool to go to Lowe's and be like, I own shares of this company. Or like, man, I sent money through Venmo. Well, that's owned by PayPal, and you happen to own that. There's a satisfaction in being like, I have the rights to some of the best and brightest minds in the country, if not the world. And wow, that costs a third to half of the cost of any other advisory team out there because we put that extra effort or work in to make that happen. To me, it's why I joined the company. It's why I've been able to, when I can talk to somebody and say, hey, this is why we're different, why I think we're special. I guess everybody's in sales, right? Whether you know it or not.
Right.
We all are. I hated the idea of sales. It makes me like, ugh. But when I think of more like, I'm just going to tell you how we do it, it's convinced me. And most folks, when they understand it, say, yeah, I kind of like that. I don't get that. That makes a lot of sense. It's very straightforward. A lot of professionals are confusing, right? I don't know. They kind of talk over you, and I've had that happen. It's the worst feeling. I'm like, I guess because you're trying to impress me. What I try to do and what I talk to our team about is like, nobody should ever feel confused for a moment when they're talking with us. They better not feel confused because that doesn't make them trust you more. It makes them distrust you. And that's ultimately like the foundation of what we do. Yeah, all these different things that we do. Okay, you have this great process. Those are secondary to trust, and that's what we really we're here to stay. We're multi-generational. One day I'm going to pass a baton. It doesn't have my name on the side of the firm. Mm-hmm. And there's something there that's comforting to somebody looking at me saying, I need to be able to trust you for the next 3 to 5 decades. And are you going to be here then? And I can say, honestly, I'm like, I won't be here this whole time, but you're going to work with this team and you are going to be taken care of for as long as you want to work with us. And that's something that I don't think a lot of other firms can offer. Like, one day I'm going to retire and sell my stuff.
Right.
And you're going to go through a painful transition with somebody you've never met before in your 60s or 70s. And sorry, that's whatever. I'm done working. And I'm like, that what we can promise is that's not going to happen to you.
Right. Okay. Well, I'd like to add to that because I know because my mother sat down with you a week or two ago to talk about her and my father's retirement planning and that sort of thing. And one of the things she told me after that conversation with you was it was part of your value proposition that you didn't mention just now, and you don't advertise. But what she said was that the hour you spent with her and the things you went over and that you talked about, any other financial advisor she's talked to in the past would have charged thousands of dollars for that conversation. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have even had the conversation that you had with her without billing for it. So I think that's a whole nother value add that you should probably mention during your pitch because she was blown away by that. She's like, I can't believe he was willing to even talk to me in that at that length and in that depth about what we're doing and how we're doing it and give us his opinion without giving me a bill at the end. And that I think that goes towards building the trust that you were talking about. I don't know if it's intentional or if that's just how things were done before, but I think that's an amazing way to help build trust with people is by not billing them for every little thing that you could possibly bill them for.
$5,000 is about what it costs to sit down and have a plan created. That's the starting price.
Wow.
And we deliberately say, a lot of people are like, a complimentary review, that you can get that, and it's really a sales pitch. Mm-hmm. And so I tell folks up front, like, you're going to meet with me. You're actually going to meet generally with 2 financial planners, myself and somebody from the team. So you're going to get a very complete picture. And there is no cost, but you are going to pay me. You're going to pay me through an honest review on Google. And I'm like, I promise you, you will get value. I've never sat down from somebody and been like, your stuff is perfect. Never been. I'm like, there's always room for, and it's not hard. A lot of these are small adjustments. I would just adjust these few things, or add this insurance policy, or update your estate plan, whatever it may be, your children's college funds. I think we can do something more efficient for them. Please just leave a review. And to me, that's like a win-win. I give you an hour of my time. And I tell folks, I'm like, hey, if you want to work with us, I want you to go sit down with them at the firms. They're going to tell you $5,000 come in the door. Create this thing.
Yeah, that's what my mother said was she couldn't believe what you were willing to do without giving a bill. And from what I understand, it's not like you just hooked her up because she's my ma. Like, that's what you do for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, in blind self-interest, she's an advocate. She believes in our mission, and that's what it's kind of like it's just building a group of folks, like, if you treat them well, and I'm like, hey, that's it. Like, believe me, you're helping me because now you believe in our mission. That's a win. That's where all of our clients are. That's probably why you guys would poke fun at my social media, right? Like, I have a very mediocre presence, but most folks find us by word of mouth. They just hear, as this team, they don't charge. They care a lot, and it's a pretty good value proposition. Right.
Well, and I'd like to point out too that you're not geographically restricted with who you work with. So my parents live in Wisconsin.
That's right.
And they could be your clients. Like,
That's right.
people could reach out. Any of our listeners could reach out from anywhere in the country if they wanted to work with Tilia.
Yeah,
and how do they get a hold of you?
If you go to Tilia, TILAA, partners.com, you'll find us online. You can read our bio, and I spent a lot of time updating our website to show the specific services, how we differ from your big brokers that are out there, the 90% of advisors that you're going to meet, why we're different, what we charge, how we just our entire process, so you can dig in there. But yeah, I'm hopping on a plane to go out to Kentucky next week. I'm going out to Idaho next fall.
Okay.
I'll be going down to
So you already have clients all over the place.
Yeah,
okay.
I love it. I enjoy. To me, the criteria is not how much money they have. It's if they really understand our value proposition. If they understand, like, we make it seamless. I give you 2 to 3. Here are your choices. They all have different pros and cons. You pick it, right? It's commander's intent. You're the CO. I'm your loyal action officer. You tell me what you want. Cool. And I go run with it and report back.
Okay. Excellent. So TiliaPartners.com, and I'm sure there's a contact form and a phone number and all that sort of stuff there, right?
Just call us.
All right. Excellent. And they should.
They should.
If they want to ever retire in
free evaluation.
in comfort, they should definitely reach out to you.
Thank you.
We're getting close to the end of our time. I didn't prep you for this. I prep all our other guests, but like I said, I didn't really think about you and the other guys who were supposed to be with us today as guests, more of co-hosts. But since it's the two of us, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you could leave 1 to 3 things on the table for listeners, bits of advice. It could be about starting a business, running a business, networking, whatever you feel would be 3 substantial things, or 1, whatever, that you can leave with us. We'd love to hear it.
Everybody wants you to succeed, believe it or not. They really do. If you reach out to somebody and you cut through their daily, the grind that we're all in, and you say, man, I would love 15 minutes of your time, almost everybody's going to honor that, and they're going to help you, because when you reflect on your own life, it's sure you have your own accomplishments, but it's, did I help somebody else along the way? Did I get a chance to pass on my knowledge? That it's not a bunch of strangers out there. It's just a person that you don't quite know yet, and it's a phone call away.
So what I'm taking from that is don't be afraid to reach out to people, even people you don't know, and ask for something.
Yeah, it's a really great way to not recreate the wheel. Hey, dude,
Yeah.
you've done it.
Yeah.
How did you do it? And every single person I've ever asked is like, oh man, I'll sit down with you for an hour. I'll tell you as much as you want to get.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are afraid to, especially reach out to a stranger and ask for help, even if it would really benefit them. So I think that's huge. And then the last thing I'm going to ask for, this is probably really putting you on the spot, but do you have a particular book that you'd recommend to our listeners? Could be anything. Something that really maybe changed how you view a certain topic or how you lived your life in a particular way or something.
Ooh, I mean, I'll start with Ramit Sethi, I think is his name. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It's something that it's sort of a basic overview of the entire industry. He actually talks about how to select an advisor and how to approach, from a pure selfish standpoint. That's a great book. It came recommended by somebody close to me, and I enjoyed reading it. But a book larger than that in terms of big picture. Boy, you are putting me on the spot. I can't say. I can say, my favorite books, and I can talk about what I'm reading now. But
what are you reading now?
It's called American War. It was published last year. It's a dystopian novel. I read a lot of. My favorite book of all time is The Stand by Stephen King.
Okay.
Love it. And this one is a glimpse in America in about 50 years, and it's dystopian, right? So it's always dark, but won a bunch of awards, came highly recommended, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly.
Nothing wrong with that. We all have to give our brains a rest sometimes.
That's right.
So I might have to check it out.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've read something that wasn't read with the intention of gaining some sort of practical use out of it.
Fiction goes a long way, right? We need to rest our brains, and I'm the same way. And I'm like, you know what? I got to send my brain on vacation.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Well, I appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for being
Chase.
the one guy that I can count on to show up today.
Made it work.
And make it work. We'll get the rest of them in here at some point.
We will.
It'll be really cool to have this conversation again, maybe in 6 months. Once we get past the new year and we see where our plans for 2022 end up taking us. I think it'll be cool to revisit this. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you at our 1 year next week.
Thank you, Chase.
All right, man.